Even the most emotionally intelligent women, women who know who they are and what they want, still find themselves caught up in a connection that almost turns into something real, but never fully does. They're not chasing, they're not playing games, and they're not naive, and yet surprisingly, emotionally available men don't seem to choose them, not fully, not when it actually matters. And after a while, the same questions start creeping in. What the hell just happened? How did we go from texting every day to nothing? How can something that feel like it's building just keep going nowhere? Because it's not like you're not showing up. You're being honest, you're open, you're giving it a real shot, but somehow it doesn't stick. But here's what most women never get told. What makes a man choose you isn't how much he wants you, it's how he feels about himself over time when he starts to want more. So in this video, I'm gonna guide you through 5 crucial moments most women don't even realize are happening. The kind of moments that flip a switch inside a man. And not the ones that make him curious. The ones that make him certain that you're different and that he wants to stop looking now that he's found you. And let me be clear, this isn't a tactic. You can't fake this. This is about the kind of presence and energy that a man feels sometimes before he even understands why he's so into you. And when you know how to create that, you stop walking on eggshells after every good date. You stop rereading texts like they hold the answer to your worth. Because suddenly, you're not wondering, is he still interested? You can feel it in how he starts choosing you, with his energy, with his time, with his words, with how he actually shows up. And not to pass time, not to keep you around, but because he knows if he lets this go, he won't find someone this amazing ever again. Okay, so before we dive in, let me tell you a bit about what this video is really about. Because it's not another list of dating tricks. They're not tactics. They're not things you perform so you'll finally get chosen. These are 5 moments that tend to show up when a woman is grounded in herself, when she's not twisting or shrinking to keep him, when she knows what she feels, knows what she needs, and doesn't apologize for either. And yeah, I know that part of the problem is emotionally unavailable men. The ones who come on strong but then vanish. The ones who say just enough to keep you hooked but never quite follow through. So this isn't just about attracting better men. It's about living in a way that feels good to you and your nervous system. When you're not walking away from a date questioning your own standards. When you're not performing easy just to be wanted. Because when you stop asking, what do I need to do to be chosen? And start asking what actually feels right to me, whether he chooses me or not, that's when everything starts to shift. Now, the first moment is when she can say what she feels and needs without making him the problem. Have you ever been with someone who's clearly upset, but instead of saying what's going on, they just get quiet? Maybe they pull back a little bit. Maybe they snap over something that seems small, and suddenly you're not feeling connected anymore. You're managing their tension and their weirdness, guessing what just happened and wondering whether you're the cause of it. Now imagine something different. You're disappointed, or maybe something hurt. And instead of pretending it didn't matter or turning it into a joke, you name it simply, kindly, but still firmly, because it's real. The way that feels to a man is totally different. You see in his body, his shoulders drop, his chest opens a little. He's not worried he's about to get blamed. He's not trying to figure out how bad it's going to get for him. He's present with you. Because instead of putting him on the defense, you gave him something simple and direct and kind to react to. Something his nervous system could settle into. Not because it was perfectly said, but because it was honest. And honesty without punishment pulls a man in. And for a guy who's emotionally available, that changes how he sees you. It makes him want to stay because he actually feels safe with you. You'd be surprised how few humans know how to do this correctly, because most of us weren't taught how. Somewhere along the way, we learned that asking for what we need makes us a little less desirable, that speaking up pushes people away, and that if no one ever showed you how to say what you feel without apologizing for it or making somebody else's fault, it starts coming out sideways. Maybe you make a joke that isn't really a joke, or your tone shifts and he knows something's changed, but he has no idea what or why because you're not sharing it. Or you smile and say it's fine, even though your chest is tight and you're anything but fine because that's what you've always done. But when a woman says what she feels and needs without turning it into a test or a guessing game, it does something to a man. It doesn't just get his attention, it inspires it. Because now you're not managing his emotions. Here's what that can sound like in real life. Instead of saying, I guess you've just been too busy to text me back, which sounds like a guilt trip and passive aggressive and still doesn't say what you want. Instead, you might say, listen, I feel closest when there's some back and forth during the week, checking in, hearing how things are going. I like it when it feels like we're in each other's lives more than fitting each other in every now and then. Maybe instead of saying, wow, I guess I'm just the dramatic one now, which hides the hurt behind the sarcasm, you might say, hey, I know you were joking the other day, but when you called me dramatic, it made my chest tighten. Would it be okay if next time, instead of making a joke about it or about me, just let me know if something's bothering you? And instead of pulling back and telling yourself it's because this is why I don't open up to guys anymore, you might say, when I opened up about my family stuff last night and you changed the subject, I felt shut down. And I want to be able to share more of that part of my life with you. It's important. Would it be okay if next time we stayed with it a little longer, even if it's a bit uncomfortable? Now, none of this is about being perfect. It's about being present. And a man who's capable of connection will absolutely feel the difference. But let's be clear. This also isn't about being better for men. This is about being better for you, for your nervous system, for your friendships, for your future children or grandchildren, for the kind of connection you actually want to live in, for your integrity, and for one that feels like truth and reflects your greatness. And yeah, guys are going to feel that too. The right man doesn't just notice it, he wants it. And he knows he'd be a fool to walk away from it. Moment number 2, when she was lit from within, and he doesn't feel responsible. He feels invited. Now, have you ever walked past a kitchen or a bakery and smell something cooking so good, your body reacts before your brain gets a time to catch up? You weren't even hungry, but now suddenly you want a bite. You don't want to analyze it, you just want it. And you catch yourself salivating before you even think about it. That's what it's like for a man when he's around a woman who's fully lit up from the inside. She might be curious where things could go. She might feel drawn to him too, but she's not watching his reactions to figure out how to be herself. She's not holding back just to stay easy to be around. She's just herself, and she feels good with it. She's not shrinking to be more likable. She's not filtering what she's saying to make sure it won't be too much. And when you're with her, you feel yourself stand up a little taller, not to impress her, but because something about her makes you show up more fully too. You can tell she's actually felt something that day that comes from within. Maybe she stayed up late finishing a piece of writing that she didn't plan to share with anyone, but the words kept coming and you can feel it in her essence. Maybe she blasted music in her kitchen that morning and sang while making breakfast barefoot, phone turned off, totally in the moment. Maybe she had a deep conversation with someone who really saw her and hasn't stopped smiling since. Whatever it was, it's still in her system and in her essence, and you can feel her glow up the room. She didn't show up hoping someone else would give her that feeling. She brought it with her. And when you're with a woman like that, your heart beats differently. You know, most guys, especially the ones who are emotionally available, are kind of used to moments that feel like a lot of work, where maybe you have to entertain or do the work or keep the vibe alive, prove something. But with her, you just feel good being there. You're feeling alive and pulled in. And it's not because she's trying to be magnetic, but because she's already full of life and it shows. And that kind of presence makes you want to reveal more of yourself to her, makes you stand up straighter, makes you want to share more of your heart. Moment number 3. When he feels her respect for herself is bigger than her interest in him. Now, there is this magic moment that makes a man stop and look at a woman very differently. And it's not the first spark. It's not how she flirts with him or how easy she's to talk to. It's the moment he feels without a doubt that she's not going to lose herself just because she feels something for him. She's into it. She's present. She's not playing games or holding back. But there is this steadiness and this confidence underneath it all, Like her feet are still on the ground. And if something feels off, she's not going to ignore it to keep things going. She doesn't say she's okay when she's not. She doesn't put the connection on a pedestal and hope everything will catch up to her. And that's kind of rare because a lot of women, especially when they're really into someone, where there's chemistry, they start making quiet, silent trade-offs. Maybe they'll brush off something that didn't sit right. Maybe say yes when they mean maybe, or hold back what they actually need just to not rock the boat. And it's very normal. And I get it when you're finally feeling something real. It's hard to risk losing it. You don't want to be the one who makes it heavy. So maybe you tell yourself, hey, just let this go. Don't make this such a thing. But when a woman doesn't do that, when she stays open and she stands for what matters to her, what she believes in, he feels it. He may not love it in the moment. It might hit something in him he wasn't ready to look at. But if he's a conscious man, and that's the only kind of guy I want you to look for, he doesn't take it as a rejection. He takes it as an invitation to step up because she is not pushing him away. She's just refusing to lower her standards to keep things easy. Now, here's what that can sound like in real life. Hey, I'm really enjoying this. And I also know I get deeply attached when there's a physical connection. So I want to wait until there's a little more clarity and more emotional connection between us before I can get there. Or maybe I really enjoy being with you. And I also know I don't do well in relationships when things get sharp or sarcastic. When there's tension, would you mind just saying what you mean to me, even if it's hard? I'd rather work through the real thing than try to decode a joke. Now, none of that is about testing him. It's not a strategy. It's self-respect spoken with kindness and warmth. And a man who's available will not back off. He'll step up because he knows she values herself, and that's something worth stepping up for. He values himself more as a result of being with her. Now, if you're a single woman watching this, I'd be willing to bet you're not aware of the root cause where you're still single. So what I've done is I've taken 15 years of helping and guiding women from every walk of life to attract devotional life partners. And what I've done is I've put together the learnings of my experience in a quiz you can take in about 60 seconds that will reveal to you the number one reason you're still single. So if you want to participate, all you have to do is go to the first link in the description. You're going to see a page that looks like this. Answer a few simple questions, and within 60 seconds, you'll get to things. The answer to the question why you're still single, but also a custom report that's going to share, based on your specific blind spot, what is the number one action you can take today to attract the relationship you want in a fraction of the time. Moment number 4, when she's strong enough to receive without shame or self-protection. Have you ever tried to give something to someone who keeps insisting that they're fine? Maybe not in a rude way. They smile, they say thank you, but you can feel it underneath. They don't want to owe you or anyone anything. They don't want to need anything from anyone. They'd rather carry it all than let someone help lighten the load. That's what it can feel like for a man when he's with a woman who's been taught to be fiercely independent and that she has to do everything herself. And it's not that she's cold or that she doesn't care, but the wall is definitely there and he feels it. She might really like him and still won't let him close. So he pulls back, and not because he wants to, but because there's no space to bring anything to her. But when that changes, when she lets him in, even in a small little way, not by depending on him, but by being herself and letting herself receive, that moment becomes unforgettable to him. Because most men aren't looking to save you or women, but we do want to add value and matter. We want to bring something real. And when a woman is courageous and strong enough to receive that without shame, without needing to explain it away or feeling weak, that's when something shifts. And it's not always some big reveal. Sometimes letting him in happens in small, unguarded ways. Like when she tells him, hey, listen, I can handle most things on my own, but I'm realizing I don't always have to. And she says it, meaning it, without a joke to soften it. Just expressing her truth, and he gets to feel she'd actually want him there. He feels wanted and needed. Or when she's had a messy, difficult day at the office and she says, hey, would you mind just being with me for a minute? I don't need to be fixed. I just want to feel less alone in it. And she doesn't apologize for asking. She lets the moment be what it is. Or when he offers to take care of something, pick her up, bring her food, help her solve the thing. And instead of saying, hey, I'm good, I've got it, she just smiles and says, hey, you know what? actually, that would mean a lot to me. Those are the moments that stay with him, not because she needed him to save the day, but because she let him be part of her life, her experience, her vulnerability, and not as a reward for effort, but as a real presence she was open to receiving. She's not proving she's strong, she already is. And now she's strong enough to let someone show up for her too. Last but not least, moment number 5, when she was so fully herself, he couldn't compare her to anyone else. Have you ever walked through an art gallery and stopped in front of a painting, not because it's the most beautiful painting in the world, but because there's something so different and unique about it that you can't look away from it? That happened to me many times in museums. That's what it's like for a man when he meets a woman who is fully herself. She's not trying to charm anyone. She's not trying to edit herself to seem easier or more comfortable to love. She's not desperate to be picked. She's just there, open, flowing, expressive, and not hiding. She says what she actually thinks. She laughs the way she really laughs. She brings up what matters to her, her uniqueness, not to control the moment, but because it's real for her. And the more time he spends with her, the more he realizes she's not trying to be impressive. She's just being real. And something about that punches him in the heart. It's like hearing a voice you didn't know you were missing until you heard it. And suddenly everything else sounds a little off. So when that happens, instead of comparing her to anyone else, you start comparing everything else to what it feels like to be with her. Because she's not shrinking. She's not adjusting herself into a pretzel in order to be more palatable or relatable. She's showing up expressively, uniquely as she is, and it's impossible to forget. Carl Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is becoming who you really are. And when a man is face to face with a woman who's done that kind of work, not just on paper, not in theory, but in the room with him, he feels it in his gut. He feels it in his heart. She's not just different. She's the kind of different he doesn't want to ever lose. Oscar Wilde said, be yourself, everyone else is already taken. And she is. She's taken by her own presence, her own voice, her own uniqueness, her own values. And that's what makes her unforgettable. Coco Chanel called it the most courageous act, to think for yourself out loud. And when a man witnesses that, not just ideas, but choices in the way she's showing up, he doesn't need to compare her to anyone else, because this isn't about better. It's about undeniably her. So here's what I want you to take from this. These moments I'm describing to you right now are not tricks. They're not tactics. They're signals of a woman who's already embodied and living the kind of life she wants to invite someone into. She's kind, she's compassionate, but she's firm. Because when a man sees that, not just the words, but how she moves, what she allows, what she no longer entertains or tolerates, that's when he stops to really see her. The point isn't to be irresistible to men. The point is to be unmistakable to yourself, because when you're grounded in that expressiveness and truth, you don't chase, you don't control, and you don't settle for almost. You become the moment that flips the switch in a man, not because you said the perfect thing, but because your switch was already turned on within. And you were never trying to be anything other than who you actually are. And if that's the kind of clarity that you want to build, I hope you stick around. If you find this helpful and meaningful, it would mean the world to me on my channel if you click like and subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to continue learning how you can attract the relationship you want without the need for gimmicks, manipulation, games, or stupid techniques, make sure to watch the next video right here.